Hello Doom Doom from the Board of Doom. This is the wrestling recap.
Hi, it's BigPapaGrump. A little late with the recap because I'm on vacation. So let's get right into it. We can start with Raw, and Roman Reigns came out. He had his big announcement. He had been hyping up, and basically it is he has the #1 contender spot for the Universal Championship at SummerSlam between whoever wins between Joe and Lesnar. And then Samoa Joe came out. There's a little bit of a neat thing there with Samoa Joe not being a real Samoan in the eyes of the Samoan community, and they were kind of playing off of that because Reigns referred to him as a guy named Joe, so that was kind of a neat way to play on that. Then they had a promo back and forth, turned into fisticuffs, which resulted in a match between the two later, which Samoa Joe won, keeping Joe looking strong, while Reigns loses and is protected because Braun Strowman came out and provided a distraction as he was backed in with an ambulance and said that he is facing Roman Reigns at Great Balls of Fire in an ambulance match. I hate ambulance matches, but this is like the one time it actually makes sense that they're having one. Then you had the Drifter Elias Sampson in the ring. I'm always looking forward to Elias Sampson's stuff, but then Finn Balor interrupted the song because he was having a match with Bo Dallas for some reason, and kind of planted the seed for what happened later. It was a squash match, basically, between Balor and Bo Dallas, and then afterwards, Balor was getting interviewed, Elias Sampson attacked him, so that looks like that's going to be the next feud. We all thought that it was going to be Balor-Bray, but I guess they obviously moved on to Balor-Rollins. We'll get to that in a minute. And then you had a bit backstage where Curtis Axel was trying to, console Bo Dallas after his loss, and The Miz came out and offered them jobs as his entourage, which is finally getting something to do for Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, two guys that are really good on the roster, underutilized, mostly because Bo Dallas's gimmick is trash, and, there is no gimmick for Curtis Axel. So then he had a segment with The Miz, trying to make up for what happened the previous week, and yeah, the two Bears with the I'm sorry signs and all that, and then Dean Ambrose came out, and the Bears happened to be Axel and Bo Dallas, so now we've got kind of a start of a stable for The Miz. Yeah, so they ended up taking out Dean Ambrose, so that was also kind of neat to see because, I like Dean Ambrose better when he's kind of on the short end of the stick and kind of working his way up. I mentioned it before, he's better chasing than he is with a title, at least at this point in his career, so, Then you had the big soap opera drama between who is it that attacked Enzo and Cass, and so Kurt Angle comes out, he calls out the Revival, he calls out the Big Show, all this back and forth, and it ended up being Corey Graves that somehow had security footage that the general manager of Raw didn't have access to, showing that it was Cass that attacked Enzo. I like the old school promo style on this, the old school soap opera to it. It was kind of different. Usually, heel turns, they just happen in the ring, happen during a match or whatever. But no, this was like, Cass cut an awesome promo on Enzo, and Enzo tearing up. Just really good television between those guys. Whether you like the storyline or not, it played out well. Once it was revealed that Cass was the one that attacked Enzo, then that's where the promo got good. It was awkward and kind of boring up to that point, but then once Cass started laying into Enzo on the mic, it was just great. And Enzo being the mic guy of the two, nothing to say, and it worked. It was great. Moving on to Smackdown, opened the show with Carmella coming out to address the elephant in the room. Her and Ellsworth came out, and she cut probably her best promo to date. She's still not quite there on the mic, but she's getting really good, and she basically said what a lot of people were saying is, how can you break a rule that doesn't exist? I didn't like the fact that they're having, I'm all for having another women's ladder match. That's cool, but taking the Money in the Bank briefcase away from Carmella for violating a rule that didn't exist, I think it would have been a much better heel move and would have gotten her much better heat had she kept the Money in the Bank briefcase, because Daniel Bryan's like, look, there's nothing I can do. She didn't break a rule. We can change the rule for that going forward, but the rule wasn't in existence. That would have been a much better way to play it. Now, you have a possibility that, Carmella doesn't end up with the Money in the Bank, and I think she needed the Money in the Bank more than any of the other women, so I would hate to see them take it off of her now. I would like to see her win with some other version of shenanigans. I think it would just be really, really cool if Carmella just walks out with it again. You had Randy Orton cut a promo. It was, it was Randy Orton. It was kind of dull, but at the same time, all of his promos have always been dull. This one was actually interestingly dull. But other than that, it didn't really serve much except to push exactly what it is about what Jinder did that bothered him and how mad he is about it. That led to, for some reason, Jinder Mahal wrestling Luke Harper. That was just basically an excuse to have Orton come out and kill everybody again. I never get tired of seeing Orton beating up on the Singh brothers because he just tosses them around like ragdolls. It's great. You had another Shinsuke Nakamura-Dolph Ziggler match. This one was actually better than the one they had a couple of weeks ago. And it was also, he finally landed a Kinshasa that didn't look like crap. So that was, I think the guys on the main roster are starting to figure out how to sell that. So, Shinsuke gets another win. And it was nice that he didn't win Money in the Bank so that they could build him up a little bit more. I just want them to stop calling him the artist. Probably my favorite bit from Smackdown was when Kevin Owens came down and issued an open challenge. It's nice to see him kind of riffing off of the Cena thing because you could kind of tell he was pseudo-mocking it. He said a local talent, and out came AJ Styles, like, no, you're not from here. Then out came Chad Gable, and they did a little comedy bit where he was like, yeah, I just moved there, And so, kind of funny, kind of stupid. It ended up being a decent match, but I just love the idea that Kevin Owens was trying to do that, and then he got foiled. Also, American Alpha back on TV. It was kind of unceremonious.
Well, we all know that BigPapaGrump does not know how to cover NXT worth a damn because that was just atrocious in his recap. So, I, being the savior of the masses, have come back to take my rightful place with an NXT recap.
And of course, Junior's not here to cover NXT. But what I wanted to talk about when it came to NXT was Aleister Black versus Cassius Ohno. You know that Cassius Ohno is building towards a feud with Hideo Itami. And Aleister Black, they're trying to build him up too. So it's one of those moments where, and I'm going to kind of take a little bit of what Junior said off camera to me a little while ago. You have two guys that are both moving up the roster, so whenever those two wrestle, it's like, who are they going to put over and why? Aleister Black gets the win, and I think that's went to serve the story with Hideo Itami, because afterwards I think it was on the WWE.com. Hideo Itami mockingly tried to console Cassius Ohno after the match. So there's that. They're obviously building towards something with those two. Bonus 205 live coverage. Tony Nese beat Jack Gallagher. Okay. Mustafa Ali beat Drew Gulak. Okay. And then Neville beat Rich Swann in what was actually a pretty good match. He's been finishing matches with the rings of Saturn a lot lately, and I never get tired of seeing that. So the big news coming out of WWE this week was the return of Mauro Ranallo. They had originally agreed to part ways, and I guess WWE came back with an offer that is like, hey, you can do NXT, you don't have to travel as much, and all this other stuff. Mauro's like, sure. So now we get to listen to Mauro Ranallo on probably the best show WWE has. So I'm excited. I'm happy. I already miss Mauro. It's fine. Tom Phillips went up to Smackdown, so now you're going to have Mauro Ranallo down there, and it's going to just sound great. And just a bonus thought, Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness. Last thing I want to cover is the Ring of Honor Best of the World pay-per-view. Not going to go into a whole lot of detail covering all the matches or anything like that. Young Bucks retained. Marty Scurll did not win back his TV title. But the big story is Cody Rhodes becoming the Ring of Honor champion, the first major world championship he's held, beating Christopher Daniels, took 2 crossroads and spit water in the face, and just legit broke down crying after the match, and it was just incredible to see. It was like one of those great, like, real in-ring moments. So congratulations to Cody Rhodes. So that was the wrestling recap. I ran through a whole bunch of stuff really quick, but, you know, like a lot of really little stuff happened that was interesting that I wanted to touch on. So I've been Big Papa Grump. This has been the Board of Doom, and I'll catch you next time.